This is the art of selling travel. We're diving in to give you useful and practical tips on how to make more money starting now. We're pulling back the curtains on the best sales strategies to show travel professionals how to close more sales and create raving fans. Helping travel advisors master the art of selling travel. You can't market your way out of a selling problem. This is the art of selling travel. And here to guide you through it all, Glenda Beagle.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be setting the stage for 2022. Holy smokes, people, we have made it through another COVID-filled year. The good news, I think we're genuinely coming out the other side of it. I know that the new virus variant, everything else, it's all, it is what it is. That being said, we are going to push onward and upward. And my question for you, my dear friends, are you ready? What do you need to do to get ready? What do you need to get into place to be ready to make 2022 the ultimate comeback year? Now, if you can wave a magic wand and design the business you want, my question for you is it the business you've had, or do you have a different vision? When I chat with travel advisors who are trying to figure out their branding, or they're trying to figure out their website, or they're trying to figure out their marketing, or just simply trying to figure out why they're not attracting the clients they want to attract, I always say to them, is it because you're putting out what you've always done, or are you putting out something to attract what you want to move towards, what you want to become? Almost always they tell me, well, I've always sold all inclusives, or I've always done this, so that's all I ever talk about. And it's sort of that same question I always say when travel advisors say to me, but nobody comes to me for anything other than $299 Vegas. And then you check their socials, and what does it say? You got her, $299 Vegas. So my question is, what are you going to do differently in 2022? And better than that, who are you going to become that's different in 2022? I have an amazing mentor. You're going to hear me talk about him, I'm sure, in many episodes. His name is James Wedmore, and he runs Business by Design. And his saying is always, what got you here won't get you there. So what that means is everything you have done to today is good enough to get you to today. It's not going to get you to tomorrow. So every single day when we wake up, we have to choose to be a little different, to change just that little bit in order to accomplish the next step, in order to accomplish something new. So when we talk about switching over to a new year, everybody, of course, goes straight to resolutions and this, that, the other. And I don't necessarily like resolutions because everybody breaks a resolution. Instead, I want to talk about creating a professional or a personal commitment to yourself and to your business. Now, before we go on to the planning stage, I just want to point out, don't count the year out yet. In fact, did you know my two busiest weeks out of the entire year were always the week of December 26th and the week of January 2nd? Why? Because everybody just got together with their friends and family over the holidays, and they actually have a few days off. So in which case they get time to talk about what they want to do. They talk about where they want to go and this, that, the other. And oh yeah, a lot of travel advisors take time off during that time. So when I would work during, in between the holidays and things like that, don't get me wrong, I took the holidays off. But when I would open up my office again on the 26th or 27th, depending on how it fell, people were lined up. They wanted to talk travel. They wanted to book. In fact, the people that reached out to me between those 2 weeks were the most hot leads ever. They had already talked about it. They had already looked it up. They had already figured things out. So all they wanted was somebody who could actually get it done. And it wasn't just going to Mexico, because of course, living in Alberta, things are cold up here that time of year quite often. So yes, there was lots and lots wanted to go to the south, to the sun, and to the heat. There was also people that finally had a chance. They got together with their friends and family, and they talked about that trip to Europe that they wanted to book as a group. There was all sorts of engagements that took place and things like that. There were so many conversations that take place during the holidays that people want to get going. And just like you want to start off with something to look forward to in 2022, so do people who have not been able to travel in almost 2 years. So good news. Make sure you are visible, because those people are ready to travel. They're ready to talk about it. And the more you as travel advisors get out and see the world and start exploring again, the more your clients are going to as well. Now, I get it. Not all of us are in a position to be able to travel right away and things like that. You know, it's been a financially burdensome time, and it's not really the right time to go. But I will say that even just sharing the experiences of your colleagues, your friends, your family, those who are in fact traveling, letting people know what it is it's like to go through the airports right now. Understanding completely that things can be different from one trip to the next and things like that. But letting people know, what is it going to be like to travel? What is it going to be like to get back out there? And more importantly, if you get a chance to travel, what are you missing? What did you take for granted? For me, it was that view from that airplane seat. When I went to Toronto a couple of weeks ago here, the view that I had from that window seat, looking down over the snowy Canadian prairies, and just realizing how much I've taken that view for granted for so many years. When I was a travel advisor, man, when I first started out years ago, I traveled once, maybe twice a year. And by the time I was getting ready to retire from my office, man, I probably 6, 8, I think my biggest year is I did 12 trips in 1 year. And so I was constantly on an airplane, like dozens of airplanes a year. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. I'm just going to fall asleep before I get going, because you never think it's going to end. You never realize that these simple little moments are the ones that we're going to take for granted, or that can mean so much. But like I said, don't count the month over. We want to make sure you push hard into the new year. But what I want to talk about today is strategies and tactics that are going to get you going, or the strategy that will get you going versus what is a tactic. So a strategy is a full, complex plan. It is all the pieces of a puzzle that are going to make the puzzle complete. A tactic is the individual pieces of that puzzle. So for example, when you're working on a marketing strategy, you're probably going to look at different ways in which you can market. And that's going to include doing stories on your Instagram and Facebook, like on your social feeds. It's going to include shooting videos or scheduling lives or learning how to dance the latest dance on TikTok. By the way, those really are not going to get you the sales you want and things like that. It's about knowing what it is that you're going to market. It's about knowing what it is that you're going to do to promote your business. It's about knowing exactly who it is that you want to market to. So a couple of thoughts on that. For example, when you are looking at your social and you're trying to figure out what you want to market about, trying to figure out what you want to talk about, what you want to promote, things like that, I guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, your suppliers are not waking up in the morning going, oh, shoot, we haven't posted in 3 weeks. We should really figure out something to post today. Let's put something on sale. They're not doing that. There is so much strategy behind the scenes. In fact, I almost guarantee if you've been in the industry any length of time, you've seen the sales calendars from the different suppliers. I remember whether it's like a tour operator, like a land company, like Coach Tour, or it's a cruise line. If they travel to more than one part of the world, they are promoting different types of tours, journeys, cruises at different types of years. So a cruise line does not promote Alaska all year long. While yes, they do in fact sell Alaska all year round, it is not their push all year round. Same goes for Caribbean and Mexico. Same goes for Europe. Same goes for Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. Every product has its different time of year that it's going to be pushed. Why do we call it wave season? That's because that's when all the waves of the cruise bookings come in and things like that, because we know that's a big push time for the cruise lines. We know that there's certain things that are going to get pushed at certain points of the year. You, as the travel advisor, actually, no, scratch that. You, as the business owner, and yes, you absolutely, if you are an independent contractor, if you are an actual business owner, if you are anybody who is in charge of your own social feeds, who's in charge of generating sales for your own paychecks, things like that, you need to think of it as a business owner. You need to think of it from a strategic planning position. So how is it that you are going to look at your calendar? Well, you're going to start with the end in mind. You're going to start with figuring out, what do you want to promote throughout the year? What offers do you want to create? So for example, if you want to sell a tour to Italy, I did that a few years ago. We did farms, foods, and factories to Italy. I got the idea months before. I sat down and spoke with an industry colleague who is the president of the company that we went with in September. And that's where we really fleshed it out. Then we spent months putting it together, getting it just right, knowing full well that we had a deadline for when it had to go to market. And that's when it went to market. And it wasn't just, oops, we need this new tour, check it out. There was an entire strategic lead up to it. We started teasing that the tour was coming. But before we even started teasing that, we started talking more about the destination. We started hitting the pain points of why that particular ideal client would want to go on a tour, or break down the myths of why they thought they would not want to go. And it was all about getting them all primed up so that the moment the tour was ready to go, it was already a no-brainer. The beauty of it, we were able to sell it out in less than a month. And it was by far the most profitable per person large group that we had done to that point. And it was absolutely a blast. Did the bulk of my marketing go towards that? 1,000%. The reason being because it was intended to draw that audience. It also gave us a purpose, and it gave us something that was different than what everybody else was doing. But if I just woke up in the morning and thought, hey, I want to do a tour to Italy, let me market that today, it's not going to have the same sort of effect. I remember when I worked for the first agency I was at, we used to get faxes every morning. Yes, we had faxes. That's how old I am. But the thing is that the fax machine, it would come in, particularly every Monday morning, and it was all the flyers off of all the suppliers. And so we would go through, and we all had to initial the top page so that we knew they had gone through. But then the owner would pick out the best deals, if you will, and put them in the newspaper. And we always hoped that they would still exist by the time it actually made it to the newspaper got printed. 90% of the time they were already gone. But the thing is every Monday morning, she had absolutely no clue. And when I first started way back, I was the admin assistant. So I knew exactly what time of day Judy was going to call and say, hey, do you guys have your ad ready? And I would always say, not quite, because we're still working on it. But the thing is we didn't know, and the amount of stress that caused, because then that took away from time from working with clients. It took away time that needed to be spent in the business. And you've got to be able to differentiate your in the business time and your on the business time. So when you have a full-fledged strategy that you know what you're going to talk about and when you're going to talk about it, it's going to completely change how the game is played. You also know that when you have exclusive offers, you're also not going to run them all at the same time. You're not going to come out in the second quarter for everything that you're going to run in the fourth quarter. And while, yes, that might be the right timing, you're not going to put all 3 or 4 offers to be delivered in the fourth quarter. You're going to figure out when is the best time of year to send this. Because here's a little inside tip. If people are attracted to a specific type of offer and you're running 3 or 4 of a similar type offer, you're probably dividing your own audience. Whereas if you spread that out and were more strategic in when these took place, how they were promoted, and this, that, the other, you could very possibly sell more than one offer to the exact same client. And in one case, they may bring this friend with them. In that case, they might bring this friend with them. And suddenly you've doubled the amount of clients in which you work with. But with a new year coming, this is also the time to figure out what kind of FAMs you're going to be going on. Because FAMs have a tendency to inspire us to put out new offers. When you already know what kind of offers you want to be putting out, it allows you to get laser focused on what it is you want to be doing. If you've never been to Africa, but you really want to do an African safari, I'm going to suggest keeping an eye out and actively searching for Africa FAMs that are going to be able to position you as a better authority to sell that product. FAMs are designed, in their traditional nature, are designed to simply get you to sell the product that they took you there for. And when you don't have a genuine strategy, it only becomes a tactic. And worse than that, it becomes a tactic for the tour operator. So you need to, at the beginning of each year, know exactly what kind of FAMs you want to go on, what kind of educational trips you want to go on, what do you want to get from them. Because if you just want to go because you've never been to a destination and you think it would be a lot of fun to really check it out, those usually aren't FAMs. Those are called vacations. You also need to know which kind of conferences you want to go to. What kind of education are you looking to expand this year? And what is the budget that you're going to set aside for that? Because you might not know all the conferences, courses, or education that you're going to do. I'm just going to insert right here. The Travel Sales Authority will be launching at the end of January of 2022. So just keep an ear out for that. Back to our regular scheduled program. But you want to make sure that your budget is locked in, because otherwise that's how spending can get away from you. And you want to know that you're going to have X amount for conferences or for training or for whatever it is, so that way you know how much it's going to cost at the beginning. In addition to knowing what your budget is for your expenses, know what your budget is for your time. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time. So this is where you're going to make that personal and professional commitment to yourself. What are you willing to work this year and what are you not willing? And then finally, figure out your income. Not just what are you going to make, but what are you going to make for future? What is the return on your investment of owning your business? Is not just how much you make. You need a wage, you need expenses, and then you need profit over and above that. So you want to know what all of that is before you ever go. And then I'm just going to leave you with one final thought. And I really want you to take a moment. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're sitting in a place where you're able to, I want you to close your eyes. It's December 31 of 2022. I want you to look back at the year that was, where everybody was getting back to travel. Heck, space was hard to come by because there were so many people traveling. And what are you the most proud of? What to you was your biggest success? Doesn't necessarily have to be money. Maybe it was time, maybe it was freedom, maybe it was whatever it is that success means to you. But on December 31 of 2022, what was it that made you the happiest, the most proud, and the most excited for in your business? And now I want you to think about today. What do you need to do today and tomorrow and every day hereafter to make that opportunity a reality? because your brain doesn't know the difference between a reality and an imagination. So I want you to start living in the imagination, start becoming the person that accomplished that on December 31 of 2022. And I want you to start to become that person today, so that way you are ready, my friend. You are going to be a success in 2022 and beyond. Travel is ready. Travel is waiting for you. And so are your clients. I wish you nothing but the happiest of holidays, the merriest of Christmases, and everything else in between. And I know you will be a success in 2022. And I am so excited that I get to have a front row seat to watch you become the success you were meant to be. As always, if you have questions, check me out on Art of Selling Travel on Instagram. Send me a DM and tell me, what is it that you want to be the most proud of on December 31, 2022? Because I want to check back with you on December 31 of 2022, and I want to celebrate it with you. So please send me a DM. And until next time, guys, have a fabulous planning and holidays. Talk to you later.